Had more than 55,000 people come forward for testing in the last 24 hours, and I want to thank everybody for those high rates of testing, but unfortunately that's where the good news ends. Till 8 p.m. last night we had 29 cases. 17 of those we had already spoken about during the course of the day, but those additional cases unfortunately have been in exposure sites outside of those local government areas that we'd previously determined were our most concern. Can I please stress to everybody, those lockdowns, stay-at-home provisions we'd put in those local government areas from last night, please strictly adhere to them. I want to foreshadow that because of the increasing exposure sites, that the health advice is evolving, and I'll be getting advice, as will Minister Hazzard and our crisis cabinet colleagues, from Dr Chant and the health experts during the day. And if we need to take further action, we will immediately notify the community. Can I stress very strictly, if you live or work in those 7 local government council areas that we spoke about last Monday, do not leave metropolitan Sydney under any circumstances. We do not want this virus transmitting in our regions. We do not want this virus to spread beyond the suburbs and local government areas where it's particularly circulating. I said a few days ago that this is the scariest time Sydney, New South Wales has been during the course of the pandemic, and I mean that. This variant of the virus is contagious and transmissible like no other variant that we've seen, and that is why the New South Wales Government will take any necessary action it needs to take. I will confirm that I will be holding a crisis cabinet meeting today to discuss the health advice with my colleagues and senior public servants so that we can advise the community if we need to take any further action. But the reason for our additional concern this morning is because the exposure sites have now increased beyond those areas of concern that we had. The New South Wales Government has always relied on the health advice. Every single decision which we've taken has relied on the health advice. And if that health advice changes during the course of the day, we will not hesitate to adopt that advice. But can I please thank everybody for adhering so quickly and so well to the orders which came into effect from midnight. But I am putting everybody on notice that we may need to extend that during the course of the day or tomorrow, but that will be based on health advice and decisions taken by the Cabinet Crisis meeting. Again, can I thank everybody for following the advice so readily. I will also say that for simplicity's sake, we'll be reporting the numbers to 8 p.m. every day so that everybody can compare the 24 hours to the previous 24 hours. But overnight and this morning, the case numbers have been consistent with what we experienced yesterday. But the one difference that we've seen in the last not even 24 hours, in the last 12 hours, is exposure sites emerging in areas where, outside of those areas, and also the potential for people to have been infectious in those areas for a couple of days, and that's what is concerning the health experts the most.